we're in a place where traditionally linear TV budgets and performance digital budgets once lived in sensitive, separate universes, and the lines have now really blurred because of CTV. So I'm going to hand it over to Kaysen. And my question for you, Kaysen, is when you're speaking with agencies and brands today, what is the core tension they're trying to navigate when it comes to CTV measurement? And what are they really asking you to help them solve?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest shifts happening in CTV right now is that brands, again, don't see it as just that top of funnel awareness channel anymore. A few years ago, I think the question was pretty simple. How many households did we reach? But today it's very different, as now the question is, what actual business outcomes did this investment drive, as we kind of already got into. CTV is no longer just a digital video on a bigger screen. It's become part of a converged environment where brand and performance sit side by side, as you mentioned, Kelly. And the challenge now is that brands need to do multiple things at once. Of course, they still want that reach and awareness, but they also need to drive action and deliver measurable outcomes. And at the same time, we're looking for clarity across platform measurement approaches and how performance is actually being defined. So I think that's the core tension that we're seeing in this environment today.
And where do we see that conversation really begin to break down, particularly with some of our agency clients?
Yeah, I think it usually breaks down again that moment when they do try to move beyond impression and reach-based reporting into actual performance accountability, because that's where the reality of where this ecosystem is becomes unavoidable. Think to a single household. That household may be exposed to the same campaign across streaming environments like Disney, Hulu TV, YouTube TV, and Netflix, but each of those environments do behave differently. They have different buying models, different reporting logic, and different levels of visibility into what can actually happen after that exposure. So the challenge isn't just duplication, as we mentioned, it's also that agencies end up dealing with multiple competing performance narratives. Reach can vary depending on where you measure it. Frequency doesn't reconcile cleanly, and attribution models don't align. Even definitions of success, as Michelle got into, can start to diverge. And that makes it really difficult to build one consistent view of performance for a brand. So instead of optimizing across a full ecosystem, teams end up optimizing towards whatever each platform is reporting back to them.
I see what you're saying here, and we generally are seeing this across the ecosystem where, especially with the demand side platforms, they are claiming that they can seamlessly measure performance from CTV down to lower funnel KPIs. What's your take or perspective on that notion?
Yeah, I think to be fair, the activation side has come a long way. When we talk about DSPs, they've done a really strong job of making premium CTV inventory far more accessible and scalable than what it used to be. Platforms like DV360, The Trade Desk, Amazon DSP have made execution more efficient. And that matters when we're already talking about an ecosystem that is very much fragmented. Whatever that means is simplifying how media is being bought and activated does solve like one part of that problem. So from an activation standpoint, it's definitely improved. But where that gap is still existing is in measurement neutrality. So most DSPs still operate in these closed loop environments, optimizing against, again, their own signals, identity systems, and reporting frameworks. And that does introduce some structural bias that I don't think is necessarily intentional always, but it is a result of how these systems were built. The bigger challenge is that no DSP independently provides a complete neutral view of a customer journey. They can definitely see portions of it exceptionally well, and in some cases very deeply, but visibility is still shaped by platform boundaries, integrations they have, and available data signals. So while DSPs can provide strong directional insights, they are not designed to function as a single system to record across search, social, retail media networks, and downstream conversion behavior. And that's why the industry is increasingly moving towards what we're considering like a cross-platform data currency agnostic measurement framework, rather than relying on any single platform to define its own performance or do its own homework.